Uh, Good evening and welcome to tonight's show on Blab. And I'm delighted that Paul has returned to be with us. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Stephen. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And I'm looking forward to exploring Thryyve a little bit more with Jon's help. Now, there are some basic questions we've got to start off with. And I know everybody wants to know. Thryyve is a where did the name come from?
We wanted something to be really positive, a really positive sounding word. It is, when we look at what the product does, its principal aim is to grow your audience, to look at ways in which you can engage with people more effectively on social media. And so we want people to really thrive when they use the product. So that's why we picked that name.
Okay, right. What does Thryyve do? Look, big loaded question.
Well, it does many things, but chiefly what it does is it searches. So think about it in terms of discovering social media contacts or connections online. So we can search Twitter and Facebook, and we can find people who are closely aligned to the things that really matter to you, whether that's words like your brand name or maybe key characteristics of people who are your target audience, or even people who may advocate your brand for you, or may even want to buy your product or donate to your charity. Whatever it is, you will know those sorts of words that define those people. And by entering them in Thryyve, we can deliver you a targeted set of connections who you may or may not know, and we'll score those depending on whether or not you already know them and how influential they are and so on. And then that's for you to engage with them however you see fit, whether it's a like of their post, or maybe it's a follow, maybe they'll follow you back. Maybe you want to send them out a direct message, or maybe even a mention or a reply, something like that. Whatever it is that you want to do, that's kind of up to you.
Right.
But chiefly, it finds those people in the first place.
Okay. What's the difference between the Thryyve search engine and the ones that we use so far? What's the benefits of the Thryyve search engine?
Well, the problem with native search, when you search on the Twitter webpage, or if you try and find something in Facebook, is that it's actually too rudimentary. It doesn't give you any kind of intelligence as a result of that search. So let's say you were looking for raw chocolate, then you know if you were to search for that in Twitter, or even if you were to search for it in things like Hootsuite or TweetDeck, what you would get is in a list of tweets in chronological order that would not really give you anything other than the data. And then that would be up to you to read all of that data, try and make sense of it, try and understand what's relevant and what isn't, and then pick out the ones that you actually need to engage with. Now, what we do within Thryyve is we say, well, okay, look, we'll save you time by doing all the grunt work and taking all of the time challenge away from you, and we'll sift out all of the stuff that's not relevant. And what we'll do, therefore, is actually deliver the most relevant connections, the most relevant tweets at the top of those search results. And that means you could just focus on the people that are most likely to engage with you, or where you're most likely to get a better response from people because they actually want what you sell, perhaps.
Yeah. When you present the data, you present two sets of information, don't you? You present the contact.
Yes, so we.
Okay, sorry.
And we present the tweet itself. So there's two different ways that you can see it. So we give people the choice. They can either look at a list where they see the details of the matching post and the biographical information of the person making the post, or we can actually show it you in just a set of contact cards, because sometimes you just want to know the biography description of the person that we've found. So we give that to you as the user, your choice. But typically what you find is that on the one hand, it's on the one side, sorry, it gives you the tweet or the Facebook post that matches the search. So the actual content of what was said. And then we'll give you, the description of the person, the details of the person, because it might be that within the biography, you can really find a really great match. Maybe they're talking about raw chocolate, and actually they describe themselves as, a raw chocolate vegan lover, and they really are somebody that you should talk to.
Right. Okay, because behind the searches, when you get the results back, is a CRM system, isn't it? A mini CRM.
Yes,
system.
For all intents and purposes, yes. Once you find people who match your criteria, we allow you to click on their profile name, and then we'll actually display some more information about that person. So yes, we'll show all of the details about what their profile name is, their biography, how many followers they have. But we'll also try and work out for you whether or not they are on any of the social networks. So we might say, well, look, this is Paul Ince on Twitter, and this is Paul Ince on LinkedIn, and this is Paul Ince on Facebook. Now, if we can't be sure about that, we'll actually give a percentage likelihood that we think they are the person, or if we found multiple options, we'll give people multiple choices. And actually, you as the user can then select, actually, look, I know this person is on Twitter, is this person on Facebook, so I'll link those two together. And then the profile page will build up. We'll also do some analysis on how old we think they are. And if we can tell what gender they are, then we might have a go at guessing that. If it's not possible to tell, we just won't put anything. It's one of those algorithms where it's better to be safe than sorry. But we try and collate some of that information and provide you with a bit more of a broader picture of who they are, and then allow you to input into that. So we give people the option to add a note. So maybe you had engaged with them and they didn't respond, and maybe you want to just make a note of that so that next time you are aware of it, and maybe that changes the way that you engage.
Right. And you also monitor when they're online.
To a certain extent, that sounds like a bit of a snooper thing going on there. Not entirely, but when we look at a person's Twitter activity, for example, we can tell, because it's all public information, of course, when they were posting information through their Twitter feed. And we will try and identify across the week and across the time of day when they do that most often. And the reason that that's important is that when you're trying to broadcast your own message, sometimes that can get lost in the thousands and thousands of tweets. If most people have a timeline of at least a few hundred people, if not thousands, and it can be difficult to read or find every single post. So what we do is to try and work out, well, when is the best time for that person? When do we think that person is most likely to use that avenue, that channel? And if we deliver something to them at that time, they're more likely to see it. That's the theory. And our results in our testing and from users has shown us that actually that is true.
Right. How often can we run a search?
Well, you can run a search as much as you like, as often as you like. We suggest a few things, really. So we give people the option to run a search once. So maybe you're just looking for a static list of data, people who are interesting something in that particular moment in time, and you want to keep that set of results as that moment of time. But if you want to, you can create a schedule of when to run that search on a repeating basis. So you can do it daily, at a particular day and time, or even hourly. That's up to you. Okay. It depends how long your search is going to run for, and how complicated it perhaps is, but we give you the choice.
Okay, good. Right, now the search is just the start of the journey, isn't it? Because you can then take the people who returned in the search and put them into lists.
That's right. We try to think about how someone might use this to engage with people, and how marketers might perhaps use this. And a common practice in marketing is the building of lists, the building of whether it's mailing lists or e-lists or whatever, or CRM lists. So people are fairly familiar with that concept. So for those people who want to run a search on a regular basis, and they know that, you know, their keywords are spot on, and they know they're going to find people. Well, let's say you're scheduling that on a daily basis. Every day, you know, perhaps you schedule it for 6 a.m. or whatever. So every day you've got a new list of people, or a refresh list of people who meet those criteria. So if you imagine that they are potential people who want to buy your product, that's a new set of leads every day, ready and waiting for you as you start work. And then you can go and review that list and review the results. And if you find some people that are a really great match and you want to add them to maybe a VIP list, or a list of people interested in certain types of product or services or whatever, then you can select those people and add them to a list. And then that list gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the next question is going to be, well, what do you do with that list? Yeah. Well, what you do with that list is you communicate with them. So perhaps you send them a message, perhaps you follow them all, perhaps you send them a direct message if you're able to do that. But you take some kind of action on that list, and those lists are really great for things like, you know, advance notice of a sale, or here's a coupon, something that really helps you give those people some little benefit for them becoming your audience. And of course, you know, as we all know with social media, the more you engage, the more people will follow you, and the more valuable those connections will become.
Yeah, I can certainly attest that it does help with engagement. Tonight, an hour before the show was due to start, I went on to Thryyve. I looked at my list of people on Blab. I made a sub list of those people, and I sent out a message, personalized message to everyone on that list. There's a small list of 15 people, and I can see that people have arrived to watch us tonight. And without Thryyve, that wouldn't have happened. So in a small way, it can help build your audience on Blab, because you can use it to find out who's on Blab, and you can then use that list to send out a message to everyone on your list. And as we were talking about earlier, you can determine that the message is sent out when they're most likely to be online.
Definitely, it's such a valuable part of the puzzle, that piece, because, you know, one of the things that the volume piece, you know, the millions and millions of tweets that exist, is that it doesn't give you that nuance. And what we've tried to do is to say, well, look, how can we give you some valuable information that helps you be more targeted, to help you engage with those people that you find. So if you build a list, and whether it's people that are talking about Blab, or people that have mentioned you, or people that have mentioned you on Blab, you know, if you build those different lists, you can target your message to them. That's really quite personal in an environment that's actually quite broad.
That's true, because by refining it down, you're actually saying, I want to talk to these people and these people only, and I've got a message I want them to go out to them. Because we also used it, John and I are members of Empire Cred, and we also used it there to find about 125 people who helped us, and we're able to send a personalised message to them. And we got a good reaction from that, because people reply back and retweet it. I mean, the one I did about Blab tonight has been liked and retweeted, and it makes a lot of difference when you can give it that personal approach. Right, okay, now the next section, I'm going to come back and revisit things, but the next section is surveys. Because you can take surveys on Thryyve, can't you? Run them.
Yeah, so we're looking also for, how do you open the door to a conversation? Yes, you can reply to something that somebody's said, but you can also ask questions. And we like asking questions. You know, we like asking questions of our users. We, as sort of, you know, marketers, should like to ask questions of our customers and users and all the rest of it. So by asking customers, you get honest feedback. And if you get honest feedback, then you have the option to change things, to make things better, so that people like your product more or buy more of your product. And so we were looking for ways in which we can open that conversation. And one of the ways that we decided that we would do that is to create a survey tool, a survey part of Thryyve, that would allow you to ask those questions to people that you find. So again, just going back to the stages, you've got the first stage, which is to discover the people that you want to engage with. In this case, send a survey to. And then once you've built the list of those people, then you could send them out a survey asking them some questions. And those questions could be, for example, we're thinking of changing our logo from green to blue. What do you think? Yep. It could be, who do you think is going to win the Democratic presidential nomination? Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton? It could be any question, political, social, it could be whimsical, it could be product-based. In the survey, we thought, well, okay, how are people going to actually see the survey? And what they're going to do is that they're going to see a tweet. They're going to see an invitation to participate in that from you as the user, sending out that invitation via Thryyve. And when they see that, they're probably going to see it on their mobile device. So they'll click the link on the mobile device and therefore typically respond on that same device. So the way in which the person needs to respond has to be very simple, and the response really has to be quick. There's nothing worse than taking like a 10-page or 10-section survey. You answer 5 questions next and you're 1% through. There's a little bit of you that dies inside when you realize how far you've got to go, and you tend to just stop doing the survey. So we wanted it to be quick. We have a maximum of 5 questions. We limit you to that. And that is deliberate so that it is quick. If you want to do a more in-depth survey, then go and use SurveyMonkey or something like that, or Typeform perhaps. Right. But for quick surveys, you compose an invitation message, make it sound nice and fun, and give reasons why you want them to answer your questions. The link is a unique URL so that the responses can be tracked back, and therefore you can say, okay, look, John, you answered this question and said you think this should be blue, not green. Yeah. Let's have a conversation about that. Let's ask you some more questions, and that door is open.
Yeah. So you're addressing a targeted list of people, which has been found through the search engine, put onto a list, and you're now sending the survey out to them. So it's 1, 2, 3, and you're away. And because you selected the people on the list, you like to get a good response, because it's not random, is it, anymore? It's not like putting a survey up and saying.
Exactly, it's not random. You've hit the nail on the head. It's targeted. So if you find a person that's expressed an interest in the topic, the chances are that they're going to be also interested in providing some information back to you on that topic. Now, what I would say is you have to think about what sort of questions you're asking. So if you were to find people talking about Donald Trump in a positive way, then, and you ask the question, who should become the Republican nominee, then perhaps it's going to be skewed a certain way. So you have to think about what it is that you're asking. But, let's say you're asking about, migration, or whether the national flower of England should be changed, whatever it is, then people will have an opinion. So they're likely to give it to you.
If, for example, say that you had a new raw chocolate product and you wanted to test the name of it on people that you knew might respond, then it would be ideal, because you're actually speaking to people who you're already in contact with, and all they have to do is click on the survey and you have your answers. See, we're doing a personalized Blab here.
Yes, this is a great example. This is a much better example than I just gave, actually. Yes, that's perfect, because if you've got people who are interested in your product, they care a bit more about the product, and so actually the answers that they give are probably going to be more valuable.
Indeed. So we're finding new use cases, because you've got users throughout the country and throughout the world now.
Throughout the world. We are quite big in South Africa, it seems. We've had quite a number of sign-ups from South Africa. We're trying to understand why that is. We've done a few bits of social advertising, which one of the countries targeted was South Africa, but we've had quite a big sign-up rate from South Africa. quite a few from the UK, quite a few from the States. Not so much the Australians, but hey, can't have it all. But yes, so we are international. There's no reason at all why you can't search in languages other than English. The actual product itself, the green labels are all in English. But there's absolutely no reason why you can't search in any language at all, because simply it's just a search engine in that sense.
Right. So you could do it, and you've already got the ability in there to actually refine it down to certain countries, haven't you? So you can make it USA only, UK only.
Yes, we have, one of the filters we have is geographical location of the person. And the reason we chose the person was that, and not necessarily the actual post geolocation, was because if you were trying to find a person who had certain characteristics or had certain things that they often talked about, you don't want to confuse that by them being transient, perhaps. So we've picked their biographical location, if they've got one, as to where they sit. But yes, absolutely, you can search for raw chocolate lovers in the UK, or maybe in Spain, or in Mexico, or Canada, or wherever. Brilliant.
Right, now, a little bit about your team and where you're based, because we're proud that you are British. So can you tell us a little bit about how it all began and where you're based?
We are based in Loughborough, in Leicestershire, which is in the centre of the country. We have been based here because mainly that's where we live, or it's sort of in the middle of where people live. But we're based at Loughborough University. And Loughborough University has a startup incubator called the Advanced Technology and Innovation Centre. And the aim of the centre is to build a space where startup businesses can come together and try and use cutting edge technology with assistance from the university, who's just been rated the top university in the UK for student experience. So we have relationships with the computer science department here and all the research teams, and we have a research student working with us on things like sentiment analysis, and we're doing some research into the use of emojis in social media posts and what that means, and whether we can get some better sentiment analysis as a result of using emojis. So we're based here on campus with lots of other different businesses around the place, all supporting us and giving us ideas. We have a team of, it's only a very small team, actually. It's sort of 4 to 5 people. We split that in between people like myself who deal with the product in terms of product direction, and I do all this, all this sort of stuff, the front-facing stuff, all of our marketing and sales. And then we have a development team who just really get into the product and try and make it better, listen to changes, feed that all in, and see as we can get as many of these changes that people are suggesting to us as possible. And if I can just use this opportunity to say thank you to everyone who signed up from the last Blab, because many people did, and the audience of this Blab have been brilliant at giving us constructive feedback, telling us what they like, asking us questions. I've had a few phone calls as a result of the last show, really talking about ways in which we can get this out further afield, or other products to look at, to kind of maybe tee up with, or other data sources. It's been absolutely brilliant. So I just wanted to thank everybody for helping out with that, and would welcome that going forward.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's Blab is actually working in terms of promoting and getting people involved, because as we're going to do now, we shall invite Jon in to have a chat. Jon? Okay. Right. Okay, good.
Oh,
you're still on camera.
Well, every time I bang the keyboard, eventually it works its way around so it's pointing at the sky, I think. Hi, Paul, how are you?
Hi, Jon, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, and yourself? I have been
very well, thank you. Good to see you.
No, I still can't get the damn thing right.
It's
A better camera, I think.
The floor is yours, Jon.
Well, I've been using Thryyve for about 3 weeks and a bit now. I had to comment that the support is really good. Paul's still there at 11 o'clock at night, you know, when you're asking questions.
Yeah.
Some of them might be daft, I think he suspects. But we've been testing it with some phrases for a client of mine who sell catering equipment. So we've been looking for conversations about catering equipment, and then we've tried to be a lot more specific and tried specific items within the catering industry. And I have to say, he's been amazed, that's the client that is, at just how pinpoint, sharp, I think is the word, and accurate the results are when you do a search. They can take a long time, and you mustn't be impatient when you do a search. I've learned that from practice. I've also learned that they run faster at the weekend when everybody else is out there gardening, etc. So I'm really impressed with the product. I give it a really big thumbs up, Paul, and I'm looking forward to making more use of it over the coming weeks. Is that enough?
That's brilliant.
That's fantastic. I'll the check's in the post. Thank you, Jon. I mean, what you know, from having the conversations that we've had through the chat facility, which is just it's a godsend to me. I hope it is for you as a user. You know, the ability to be able to pop a question in and to get it answered at any time of day or night. My wife's thrilled.
Even though I got summoned for my tea halfway through the last conversation, so Paul probably
that's right.
A bit odd that I got called for tea at 10:10 in the evening, but my we only have one of the three at home now, and he does shift patterns, so he doesn't get home till just after 10. 1 week on, 1 week off. So we have decided that we'll wait for him and have our tea. So that's why I disappeared halfway through the conversation. But it just shows that he's there and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's great. I think it's really interesting. The each person that signs up gives us a different experience, gives us a different piece of knowledge about the things that they're searching for, and that's really helpful to us because it means that what we can do is build a product that gets better and better and better. So everybody who uses it, please get on the chat facility. Please tell us what you're searching for. Yes, I think it's good that you've mentioned the time there, Jon, because it's not something that necessarily pulls back an immediate result. It depends how complicated the search is. So if you're searching for 1 or 2 keywords and you're searching maybe you're not really bothered about where in the world that is, so you're not searching for a particular geography, then it shouldn't take that long to run a search. But if you're searching for multiple keywords, complicated sort of, well, if this or this and this, and you're looking for geographical information, and you're looking for what we call context search, which is go and also look at other tweets that these people have also talked about to really refine that further. That can take a little bit longer. So yes, we would encourage you to maybe go and have your tea at that point.
Have a tea. It would have, the first one I ran, I think I was stupid. I made it so complicated. It took 2 days to finish. But again, I've learned that, you've got to be sensible and not expect it to go out and find the 93rd parallel mark from the 5th one on the left that's over the top of the one and underneath the bottom of the other. But the results were stunning. I mean, having done a stupid search, I went back and did a simple search just for the words catering equipment, and it came back with 564 conversations. And we've been through those conversations now, and I know that there are over 320 people in those conversations that my client should be targeting.
Yeah. Brilliant. And it's a research tool. It is absolutely brilliant, isn't it, Jon?
But it's not just a research tool, it's proactive, because where else can you do your research, drop them in a list, and then drop everybody in the list a direct message.
Nowhere, but Thryyve.
Mm-hmm.
So here's quite an interesting use case, which someone else sort of mentioned to us, really, which was about journalists. So a lot of people have their own Twitter lists of journalists that they want to connect with, but most journalists put things like the word journalist in their biography. And if you were, say, for example, launching a tech product, and you wanted to find people writing about certain articles, then using words like journalist, but then the words that describe the product that you're building, like social media discovery or Thryyve or whatever, then actually you can build a really good targeted list of people to talk to, and then perhaps you can send them each a message saying, have you seen this fantastic product called Thryyve?
Yeah.
You know, so if you're doing anything to do with journalists, it's also really, really great. And that actually reminds me of something which I didn't say at the last Blab, which was this: where a tweet has a URL attached to it, if sometimes you might look at the tweet and go, well, the words I'm looking for isn't in that, but Thryyve will look at the URL contents, the link, and if the words appear in the link, then it will see that as a match. So, so I should have mentioned that last time, because that's a really great thing to know, I think.
Sorry, John.
Another little thing that I've found is sometimes you'll find somebody's Twitter handle in a conversation, but it's because they weren't an originator or someone who commented on it, but it's still in there. You can just simply copy it, go up to the search at the top, find them, and then drop them into your list. So, you know, even people who weren't found or were found subconsciously, if you like, they're soon and easy to add to your list.
Right.
See, subconscious searching, I'm going to create a whole blog post about subconscious searching.
Okay. Right.
Think about rubbish at times, don't we?
We're going great tonight because we're transferring information about Thryyve, and you've been very effusive in your praise, John, which is brilliant, because this is all recorded. Dan, would you like to join us and ask questions as a potential user of Thryyve? Is Dan going to come on? No, John, Dan and I have known each other for going on 10 years. We're losing count. It might even be 11 years. Right, I can see Raw Chocolate still has an icon at the top of the screen, but he's not going to come in.
The chocolate man, come on.
He's got a bad connection. Okay, Dan, thanks for joining us and watching. If you've got any questions, if you type them in, then we'll certainly put them to Paul, because that would be useful. We're going to run for about another 10 minutes, and then we'll come off. And for those who are watching, we can play a couple of the videos, which I found on the Thryyve site, which help you find your way through.
I'll pop out so that you can do it in nice bits. Wide.
Yeah. Okay. That's what. Okay. Brilliant.
I'll be hearing back though. You haven't got rid of me yet.
No. Don't. Oh, right. Okay. I was going to say don't. Right. Okay. Paul, if you, for this session part of the show, if you'd like to wind things up, and then we'll go off recording.
Well, thanks everybody for watching. I hope that you get the opportunity to go to www.thryyve.com and please sign up and give it a go. It is free, and we are looking for as much feedback as you can give us. We hope we can give you a great set of results and you can get some value either yourselves or for your own clients. But we are awaiting feedback. Use the chat facility within the product, and I will be there come day or night answering your questions and helping you out a bit. So thank you very much. Okay, and finally, an overview of Thryyve for anybody who's joined us. So for those of you who are just joining us, so Thryyve is a social media discovery tool. It's a tool that allows you to put in words that define what you're looking for. Maybe it's words that define who you are or what your product does or the products that you sell, maybe, or even things like hobbies and interests that you have. And it will go and find people who are a close match to you based on their social media activities. So the content that they themselves put out. And by seeing the conversations that are being had online, you can engage with them directly. And that's a really great way to grow your audience and really start building relationships with maybe people that you didn't know before.
Brilliant. Okay. Thank you to everyone who's watched us tonight, who's been on air, and we'll now go off recording, which means that I'm going